Welcome back to Now.Chicago. I'm Katie Kioski. Today we're talking about healthy relationships. For more than 10 years, the TantraNova Institute has taught more than 10,000 couples and singles new love and relationship skills. Joining us now are the founders of TantraNova Institute, Elspeth Moit and Freddie Zantal-Weaver. Thank you so much for joining us.
Katie, good to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Now, you are the creators of the best-selling DVD, Creating Intimacy and Love, and also the best-selling book, Sexual Enlightenment, which we have here. Your retreats and workshops have been held all over the United States. But tell us about the TantraNova Institute here in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, TantraNova Institute, we were founded 13 years ago. We do these workshops all over the world now, and we work with couples and singles and individuals, teaching them practices. It's like the sexy yoga, how to be more intimately connected with themselves and each other and find more fun in the bedroom and in life in general. Yeah.
Now, what drew each of you to Tantra Yoga, and what drew you to found the TantraNova Institute?
So I came to Tantra Yoga in my early 30s when I came to this country. I was born in Germany and came here to do postgraduate work. And so I had a girlfriend who gave me a book that was about these practices because I was a little bit distraught at the time in relationship. And so it was such an opening that I kept reading, and later that was in my early 40s, then in my early 30s, and then in my 40s I actually went to workshops, and that was so impactful that I shifted my career from being a management consultant to now being a Tantra Yoga teacher and running with Freddie Zantal the TantraNova Institute.
And you said you had a series of bad relationships, that those relationships really prompted you to change.
Yes, Katie, it was like at some point in my life I noticed that I, attracted the same kind of man who was an unavailable man. And although there were moments of bliss, but then a lot of suffering too, because he was not available. There was another woman, a wife, or he was married to his job. So one day I made the decision and said, Elspeth, you need to do something. If that happens to you so frequently, then what is going on over here? And so the tantric practice was part of my shifting whatever I didn't see. And so this is how I came into it.
Now, Freddie, what exactly is Tantra Yoga?
Well, Tantra Yoga is really integrating some of the Eastern approaches to transformation, and it was really one of the early yogas of the energetic body, the original yoga of the energetic body, as opposed to Hatha Yoga of the physical form. So we're working with breath, conscious breathing, parasympathetic breathing, the meditative mind, developing the observer mind, watching our thoughts, and then working with specific physical practices with our energetic self, like our life force or sexual energy. And that's what really allows us to get more intimately and deeply connected with ourselves.
Now, I think there are 10 practices that you have developed in your workshops. Let's talk about 3 of them, maybe the top 3 that are the most popular.
Great. So we always start out, which may sound quite simple, but we start out with learning how to breathe consciously. Because you and I and Freddie Zantal and everybody, we breathe every day. We don't think about it. It's part of our autonomous nervous system. However, when we bring awareness to the breath, and particularly when we breathe into the belly, the parasympathetic nervous system gets activated and I become more calm. I drop into stillness within myself, which is then really essential to connect with my beloved. Because if I'm all over here and angry and outside of myself, I cannot actually connect with him. But when I'm calm, when energy is flowing within me, I can start flowing with him, So that is like the conscious breath, and there are meditation practices that we can do by ourselves. And then also the beauty of Tantra Yoga is that we can meditate together. You know, most meditation practices are really solo practices. But Tantra Yoga is really where we breathe in together, you know, just like this, breathing in together and breathing out together. And we can even place our hand on our heart center. And then we breathe in to our heart center. And we breathe out into our beloved's heart center.
Circulating life force energy consciously with our intention and attention.
And that is like where we connect in the love center, dropping out of our busy mind, you know, the chatter mind. What is he talking about?
Now, is this what people forget is really about connecting? Because like you said, sometimes we're all over the place. Life is hectic, life happens. And I think that, you know, this sounds like it's just going back to the basics. I mean, we're all breathing. It's something we have to do every minute of the day.
Yes.
So let's connect with our breathing.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, the sexual energy as well, you know, working with life force energy, when we're in that energy, we're more open, loving, vulnerable, receptive. Chemically we change, oxytocin's released, endorphins, serotonin. So if we're in that state anyway, when we learn consciousness practices as we teach them at TantraNova Institute, then we get more deeply connected with ourselves and with our partners. And we've seen this happen in our own lives over the years we've been doing this, and with thousands of couples and individuals over the years all over the world now. So.
Now, what's going on in your minds during this time is very important as well.
Totally. This is why we want to breathe into the belly, because we literally drop out of the busyness of the mind, where we usually have a lot of judgments either about ourselves or the other. You know, why isn't he doing this? Particularly in the bedroom. You know, like, no, I don't feel anything. You know, oh, am I going to really feel something later? So we are preoccupied with that, which keeps me actually from feeling in the moment. You know, and at some moment I may not feel anything. The next moment I'm, oh darling, that feels really good. You know, like just being in the moment, and that we train ourselves through the conscious breath to drop out of the judgment into our body, into our love selves, which is centered in our heart center.
Now, what if one partner is interested in trying some of these practices and the other is not open to it? What would you recommend that person do?
I would leave them right away. No. I think if the other partner is really interested in wanting to be in the relationship, they would allow you to learn and bring back the information. And I think that they would see the results. I think one of the biggest opportunities in relationship is really learning and being able to allow the other to be more fully who they are. And in that we can, you know, you really could be in a relationship for a lifetime.
Now, how does TantraNova Institute also help singles?
Oh, that's a great question, because Katie, I actually started practicing Tantra Yoga when I was single. Freddie was not in my life yet, and at that time when I was so, you know, putting myself on a journey to learn about myself so that I would be able to attract the men I wanted to be in my life. So when I did the workshops, the Tantra Yoga workshops, and finally I went also to a certification program, was all part of my training, I worked with practice partners. And it was so impactful, because what I learned actually in the process was that I held distrust of men in my feminine center. In the tantric tradition, we call that the yoni. Yoni means sacred space. And there was something that I couldn't access with my conscious mind. So I really got in touch with that. Initially, it was not so comfortable. However, when we get in touch and then release whatever we may hold from the past, because that was a memory from the past when I was 18 years old, and was, you know, when I had sex for the first time with my first lover, my first boyfriend. However, it was so painful that we had to stop. And I had to go to the gynecologist, and the gynecologist took care of my sacred space, and then the bill from the gynecologist went home to my house, and my father opened it, and all hell broke loose. So I felt just so alone, and, you know, like that these men were against me. And I did some therapy around that in my 30s, and I thought, oh, that was resolved. But little did I know that whatever was there as a residual memory on the cellular level was not accessible to my conscious mind, so I couldn't talk about it.
Well, certainly that is so hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But clearly now you two are both in a great space by yourselves and have a great connection together, and that is something that we will all aspire to be. So thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Katie.
Katie.
All right.
Pleasure
Well,
to
when
be
we
with
come back, a couple who says that what they've learned rather at the TantraNova Institute has made a huge impact on their relationship when we return.